Welcome to our lovely future humans and to those who are tuning in to our other episode. So let's talk about some stories. And for you who are new, so science and spirituality, they answer that lovely question of the purpose of our life by telling us it's to be yourself. Now, I know some people say it's bad advice, but that's because they don't know about the brain, mind, body, and the flow state. And Archangel Michael and all the archangels and the Pleiadians, they're all here with those of us who are empowered, feminine, and masculine. So I'm going to tell you stories, and then we might have a late HP show because I also had some channeled guidance, food for thought for you all. But just so you understand, as our lovely mind body anchors in ventral energy, we get to be the 5D collective of empowered and healthy in ventral vagal state humans. And so that's between science and spirituality. And the neurobiology neuroscientists point to how your nervous system is what you want to get first and foremost on your healthy day. When your body is finally doing ventral vagal state, now we have good resilience. And now with the eustress, you can continue doing everything else with moderation, food, drinking, a little bit of cigars or whatever. No drugs is better because the drugs are really bad for you. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying, like, I know that everyone would want to think the clean thing of eating is what works, but reality is the first thing that you want to know is your body in the social engagement state with eustress, or are you in distress, freeze, fight, flight, all that. So once you're being yourself with integrity, and that means your flaws are cool and so are your imperfections, and so you can just be who you are. I know all about it since I was a teenager. You are now not only living that spirituality life in the 5D way that we talk about here at HP, but you're also your purpose. So you're motivated by your own inner child, who's an inner adult now, and you're motivated by knowing the human secondary consciousness. So you're not unmotivated, okay? So you know how your personality patterns work, your temperament, your attachment, your category is secure. And so with secure attachment, non-traumatized, mystic, spiritual, mindful, when we're channeling and downloading, we don't have the same thing 3D, 4D does. And when we're around people who are unhealthy, they will be of one of two types. The ones who accept that we are healthy, and the ones who won't be around us because we remind their body of consistently what it can do, okay? So it's not a competition, but Dana explained it to me, and so did Stephen Porges, that the ventral energy is off-putting to people who have unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms and patterns, and Dr. Daniel Fox too. So if there's one thing that is repeatable about the high human performance is when you are your true self, you are on the emotional, mental intelligence development scale, and that's who's going to be back here because we all have a good time. As a mystic, I can tell you when people don't believe in me channeling, downloading my communion and relationship with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, it is a bummer, but it's not offensive. It's just a bummer and irritation. I got plenty of it. In fact, this topic is quite important to me because of people that I care about. So I'm going to give you the gist of it, and then we might have later on this lovely late HP show. And so this one is the story that I was going to tell you. Okay, get ready. Okay, so I'm out in a place that I love to frequent. This was 2 days ago, so besides the other story you know. And as I'm chit-chatting with my friends, they're informing me of how they're functioning basically alcoholics by saying, yeah, I've drank 5 beers today and yesterday and the day before, and well, I'm not feeling really that much of the effects. I'm pretty sure that's not in the norm, Maria. Alcoholic, I'm going to say. And I'm like, so as a friend who loves you, what do you want me to do with this? And you know I'm personal spiritual growth, like I do things that help people to live the good life. Well, Maria, really? I mean, look at me, I'm smoking too. I was like, well, I was a smoker too. So, but you're right, fair and square. So those are unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, by the way. The maladaptive patterns of behavior, they impact your day-to-day, your health, all of it, okay? So as I'm like asking without judging, because that's why the 5D collective, we're welcoming of differences, because I'm not going to tell you what to do. Also, as lovely Sadhguru reminds me, and my Christian Catholic upbringing, they told me already, God does not interfere with you. It's your life, and I'm only one of his children. And so we're all angels who give each other the opportunity to love. So when you choose to be a lover your whole life, you self-improve for yourself, you grow for yourself, the miracle of life. This is what it is, okay? When you're appreciating it. When you are not, the unhealthy fear, there are a bunch of other types of people who basically they don't know that love can solve problems, compassion can solve problems, and above all, sense can solve problems. But that's because they also don't know that love is not about somebody, that love is not an act, that love is the way you are. But when you have maladaptive patterns of behavior, those are actions, thoughts, and feelings that initially provide short-term relief from what is bad stress, by the way, because once you have good stress, you're not using unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms. You're using the mindful mindset practices we do. You're doing it daily. You use healthy, so tea, good food. Okay, you don't fill your stomach with that which is alcohol or smoking or any of that. When I was smoking, I knew I used cigarettes with my panic attacks and some of that stress stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need to get it down to like at least 3, because 3 was the perfect number. And then I wasn't able to. So in this case, my habit was stronger than my capacity to keep it down to 3. And that's why people say you are addicted. And I'm like, no, I'm not addicted because I didn't need the nicotine. I have a habit. And in fact, with cigars is where I get my tobacco flavor. But I can easily say, okay, let's take a month off because I'm doing it regularly, for example. So that's the sweet spot. And I'm trying to explain to you it's moderation, not only clean everything. Because really the point of this is if you've never smoked in your life, great. I have plenty of people that have never smoked or drank and they stay that way. And your body is in ventral vagal state, might I add. But if your body is not in ventral vagal state, you can be as clean as you want. Your body's under stress. Like that's number one. That neuroscience, again, neurobiology, mental health, somatic experiencing, any of the smart sciences are showing it's repeatable. Stephen Porges is still conducting his research, but for this moment in time, the ones who are in our 5D frequency collective are knowing this. That's why being yourself. That's the advice that I give, because it's you owning the sense of self. It's you getting into the state of eustress. I also understand how it feels to be in it since I'm in the eustress. My conclusion, though, is that the difference is where you have the capacity to feel energized every day. You'll know it. You'll know if you're an integrated brain. You'll know with a ventral vagal state, and that's because you're motivated by waking up in the morning. You're appreciative. You want to live life. You wouldn't treat your body like shit. You also don't love someone and say, oh, let me grow old and unhealthy. So the friends of mine that are basically drinking themselves, not to death, but basically like others, I said, so what do you want me to do with this? I love you. I can't do anything. Nah, come on, Maria. We just want to live a full life. That's how people feel. They're not the only two that feel that their substances and their way of behaving. And here's your adaptive child part. They want to be loved and accepted and welcome. They don't want to do the work. As long as they respect the laws, the ones who would be, oh, you have to tell them, those are martyr superiors. They're other codependent people who need therapy. Because not only once, again, for me, God tells me none of your business. We encounter each other to make choices, but we don't impose on each other to do life. You do life your way, I'll do life my way. It's very clear, though, what a maladaptive pattern of behavior is, because it will cause harm, interfere with daily functioning, and hinder personal growth. Because it's avoiding that which is underneath the surface. It can bring self-harm, substance abuse is self-harm in and of itself, procrastination and perfectionism, the unhealthy way, and really bad coping mechanisms. So, as I was mentioning in a number of episodes, body and mind are profoundly connected. When the body becomes still, the mind naturally follows, as Sadhguru points out. But some people, they are not interested in noticing that they don't know how to healthily self-soothe. And so when they're making up some kind of excuse for why their patterns and addictions are okay, you're not going to, again, convince them otherwise. Science and spirituality do point to the answer. Your purpose in life is you. Motivation is something you find from within you. And actually, Dr. Daniel Siegel has a really great PDP framework that is spot on. I've done the test, and out of the 9 domains of integration, I'm very much playing with every single bit of myself as I get to interact with brain, mind, body in a flow state. And so 5D frequency, mystic, spiritual, mindful, we know the timbre of authenticity, of transparency, and of that which is God, Akash, Source, Anima Mundi. None of those who are not in the 5D frequency and above, and I'm using Maria's words, are needing to be called names. Their low frequency comes from shame, blame, fault, revenge. They're shame bound and they're in their dark sides of neuroplasticity. Then they have movies that give them perfect examples, cartoons, TV, all the video games, you just name it. And like my friends told me, come on, Maria, leave us alone. Look at you. What are you doing? You're boring. We're doing great. And I'm like, okay. So we'll be back with more, and we'll see what title the late HP show will have. Have a good one.